Shalom. All praise be unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Peace and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. All right, getting right into it. I'm the brother Ashiar coming at you with another prophetic lesson, going into these prophecies and breaking them down, all right, through the lens of the Holy Bible, okay? And right now you got a lot going on in geopolitics and these different war fronts that Babylon the Great America has been waging, okay? So I'm gonna just touch on a few of these topics. The Lord's will, this will be edifying. So, and I'm gonna quote the scriptures, off the top of my head, the best I can. But you have the book of Revelation. It says that the second woe is past and the third woe cometh quickly. And we can see, but based off measuring the time diligently, based off examining the times that we're living in, and it's plain to see that, there's just a judgment over here on the highway. Anyways, it's plain to see that these things are accelerating, And when something accelerates, that means that as the days goes on, it goes faster, right? It's not just going at a steady pace. Every day it increases. It's like an exponential thing. All right. It's like when something falls out the sky, the rate, I think, is 9.8 meters per second, which is basically every second it goes 9.8 meters faster, because gravity, it ain't like when you fall out the sky, you fall at one steady pace. When you fall, you're accelerating your speed, And this man, what did Yahweh Shai say? That he saw, I'm paraphrasing, but he saw Satan as lightning fall from heaven. And then he's falling from his position of power, all right? Dealing with the so-called white man, Esau Edom. Okay? His power, his kingdom is going down quickly. And, they're in between a rock and a hard place, because they want to get their New World Order established, but they know that the closer they go and the further they push it, the closer they get to the return of who the world ignorantly calls Christ, whose real name is Yahweh Shai. All right, so, they're basically, losing their minds on how they're going to get this done. All right, and, there's a lot of infighting between the elites. That's why they'll say a peace treaty one day, and then the next week they'll change their mind, and it's all types of confusion. All right, but every peace treaty this man is making, he's broken. All right, but sooner or later. Okay, so tying it back in with everything that's going on, you have three fronts of potential war. Well, you already have Ukraine. All right, and basically that situation through a war of attrition. Because Russia, they played it smart. They didn't just go all out the first year of war. They got territory over time, and they tried to maintain the country because, they see Ukraine as a part of them, and they don't want to destroy something that they're going to be taking over. So they did it strategically. All right. But what recently happened is Ukraine, allegedly, which is plain to see, it was either them, they might say it wasn't them, it was NATO. It's one way, shape, or form. All right. It was done. And basically, there was a drone attack on one of the Russian President Vladimir Putin's residences. They said it was in northwest Russia. Okay. So there was a drone attack. Nobody was injured, but there's going to be a recompense for that. Okay. And he's going to come down hard on them. All right. He's going to come down hard on them as a retaliation, because they're in the midst of so-called peace talks, and then the pull this just diffuses the whole thing. All right, so that's part of the fulfillment of Matthew 24, wars and rumors of wars, man. All right, so now they're saying that they're going to hit back and get the critical infrastructure of Ukraine, because Ukraine is on the verge of complete total collapse. All right, they send in civilians, weak people that aren't even militarily trained to the front lines. They have nothing left to go up against Russia. And basically NATO and America put that battery in their back. Now they're trying to talk about a peace treaty because they know that they're done over there. All right, and they're trying to save face, but the Russians ain't fucking with it because look at in the midst of you talking about a peace treaty, you tried to take out the president. You see, so he doesn't even they don't even deal with honor and integrity amongst themselves. They deal with the Edomites. Okay, so we have that front, and we're gonna see what happens because we know that a lot of times when it comes to war and things, they like to pop shit off in January. All right. I don't remember if Soleimani, the Iranian general, I think he was taken out in January, if I'm not mistaken. They like to set the tone for the year. So we could expect things to go down in early 2026. You know, I'm speaking as a man, but looking at what's going on in the climate, that's what seems like it's about to happen. But we're gonna continue to keep an eye on it. All right. And that could play into the whole economic collapse. They could have been done this if they wanted to, but they need to get their AI processing centers up so that they'll be able to have that ready to go when they want to fully implement the MOTB. All right, and get people to take that chip. So, the Ukraine thing is falling apart for the West, and we're going to see how that plays out. Because next up is going to be NATO, because they're the ones that really have been waging war through Ukraine. And that's why it's been a big contention between Russia and, or I should say, America and NATO, because America doesn't want to foot the bill for NATO's military defense. Okay, so the other side is going to be looking a lot more like a sweeter deal for them in terms of them going to side with Russia, which we know is a part of biblical prophecy, because it says that the beast shall hate the whore, the beast being those other European nations. All right, because America sprung out from them. All right, but being over in the West and having that lofty position of being America, Babylon the Great, his look is more stout than his fellows. He's the most prideful of them all, dealing with the American devil. Okay, and by extension, Israel and America is basically interchangeable at this point. Okay, so that's Ukraine. That's falling apart, and that's going to play into a whole nother bag of can of worms, and we're going to see how that plays out and continue to monitor it. Then you have the Iranian front, and remember, Russia. I mean, not Russia, Slovakia, Rome. All right, a lot of the reason why they fell, or the main reason why they fell, is because they were spread out thin. And America is repeating the same playbook. They're spread out thin. They're over here. They're over there. They can, and they beat their chest a lot. But oftentimes, the loudest in the room is the weakest in the room. All right. Now, America is not weak, but it's a sign when you have to continuously beat on your chest to all these other nations. A lot of it is just posturing, man. A lot of it is just them trying to put on a front to make themselves look better than they really are. All right. And they're not going to be able to sustain it. Okay. And you see the economic collapse that we're on the verge of over here in the West as well. Okay. So you have, the Iranian front. Trump just said that basically they will strike immediately. All right. That's what he said. Immediately, if they get a sense that Iran is still working on the nuclear program, which they've been saying that they're ready to go. They've been saying that they've been doing it. They've been saying they've been working on developing their weapon system still. So, they're ready to dance basically. So that could pop off. We might have like a perfect storm scenario where it all pops off at once, and that would lead into the economic woes. And then they could just commence with what they really want to do, which is bringing that chip. All right. So 2026 is going to be a major, major, major year in prophecy, man. And you don't got to believe us. You can look it up. Look up everything we're saying. The average American is dumb as hell. They don't actually pay attention to what's going on in the news. A lot of people don't even know that America hit Iran, hit their nuclear sites last year. A lot of people don't even know that there's conflict. Okay, a lot of people are unaware unless CNN tells them they're not going to be aware of nothing, or Fox News or what have you. Okay, so you have that, and they're saying immediately. Trump said immediately, and I think he just had a meeting with Netanyahu. Okay, so they setting the tone for 2026, man. They're trying to get locked in on their agenda and what they're looking to push, and they're not going to waste time. Okay, they know their time is short, so to them, they gotta get this thing going and get as many people MOTB'd up as soon as possible. All right, and that's why the scripture says when he's getting ready to fill his belly. All right, that's when the Lord is going to strike him down, man. Shalom, shalom. So you have that situation with Iran, and they are going to be more prepared this time, So that could pop off, and then they could push the whole anti-Sem thing, all right, because when Iran, even if Israel is the aggressor in the media, they will portray it as themselves being the victim against Iran, and then it'll be the whole witch hunt for anti-Sem 2026. So that's why it's very fitting that through the Spirit of the Lord, Apostle Tar named it the year of the apostate and sellouts, because these different things popping up is going to reveal many different hearts. And a lot of these guys, they've tried to get ahead of the curve. Like Genesis, they want to try to, mention Edomites and try to set themselves up because they care about this current life and this current world, man. We got to cut ourselves off from this world and want the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai and desire to see Yahweh Shai's return more than anything, man. Don't let any of this worldly shit tie us in. And that's what many of these guys have done. And that's why when things go left, you're gonna see a lot of men show their faces, just like with the demic. Hardcore, everybody was this and that, but when the demic came out, it was encouraging you to go take the jab, man. Boldface, telling you that if you scared of needles or something, if you don't want to take it, and if that worked on you and that convinced you to go take it, then you're an idiot, and you're probably gonna take the chip and get burned in a lake of fire, or just keeping it as banned with you. But so we have the Iranian front. All right, so we mentioned the Ukraine, we mentioned Iran, okay, and they're all tied in. Notice how Russia and China are tied in with all of these conflicts, because that's what it's coming down to. You see the different axes. Just like with World War II, you had the axis, the Allied powers, and you had what they call the axis of evil, because they was going to paint the other side as the ones that's wicked. But ultimately, you're all wicked, all right? And they're vying for control over this system that's getting raised up. And the Lord is going to be the one to rain on their parade and, rain that fiery doom and destruction on them, man. All right, the missiles are going to drop. Yahweh Shai is going to come. The heavenly angels, the heavenly host of angels, the elect is going to be delivered. And none of these different nations that are vying for power are going to be on top. That's what it says in Psalm 75. I believe it's Psalm 75. If a brother could post it up, but I'm gonna quote it. Basically, promotion cometh not from the east or the west or the north or the south. All right, but Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai controls that. Okay, so they're all gonna try to get their claim, stick their claim to the top dog being the top position, but ultimately they're all gonna fail. All right, and Yahweh Shai is gonna come and put a foot in that ass sideways. All right, and annihilate this kingdom. All right, so everything they're doing is an exercise in futility. It's all vain. All right, so you have that. You have Iran, you have Ukraine, and Venezuela, which Russia and China once again is involved. Okay, and apparently, I got to double check the source, but there's been information coming out about new strikes against Venezuela. Okay, and they're getting ready to pull the trigger. All right, they're getting ready to, and they might try to handle all of those situations at once. All right, and they say one thing and they do another. Trump admittedly said that when they were doing the thing with Iran. He said, "Yeah, I went out." He straight up told you that he lied. So how does anything he says has no credibility? after that. So they'll say, yeah, we good, we getting it up. That's First Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, man. When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. So they'll say one thing and do something completely opposite. So you can't go by what they say. You got to watch their actions, man. Okay, don't go by because that's what the simple believeth every word. He's a proven liar and a proven devil. And I'm talking about Esau, Edom as a whole. Their main spokesperson right now is Nero 47, but all right, as a whole, they are a nation of liars, man. That's Daniel, the 4th chapter, 17th verse. The Most High set it up over the basis of men, because the Most High rules. Right now, the Most High is ruling, but he's just ruling through the left hand. Okay, he's allowing you this time to do what you're doing, but the Most High is ruling no matter who's in power. The Most High is still in control. That's the point, right? Yeah, that's the one. Brother, put it up. Psalm 75:6, for promotion cometh neither from the east nor the west, nor from the west, nor from the south. Okay. Yeah, promotion don't come from the east, west, or south. All right. But what Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is the one who takes down one and puts up another. All right. So dealing with the Venezuela situation, that's another powder keg that's getting ready to blow. So you got these 3 separate major fronts, and let's not forget, there's another one that I forgot to put in the title, but I'm gonna bring it up now. That China just dropped a video, and they also did military exercises around Taiwan. Okay, and they see that America's, the other nations, and they all play the same game. They'll say, peace, and they'll go in front of the world leaders. Trump will get up there with Xi. Trump will get up there with Putin, but then they're smiling each other's face, and then afterwards they plotting against each other. Okay, so man, it's just like when Trump and Putin got in that limo. Sometimes before the fighters get into a fight, they might be cool to an extent, but when it comes time to get in that ring, all of that friendly shit goes out the window. All right. But they had military exercise. China has done military exercises around Taiwan, and they put their whole country on alert. And then they released one of them AI videos about drones, about they had drones in the ocean. They had drones, and they got advanced drone technology, man. They haven't been wasting time. They've been working on getting their weapon systems up. They've been using AI. Okay, they've been they've been getting their power, the energy requirements getting up to, they already been ahead of the game. So America, Babylon the Great is now playing catch up. That's why you see them making these desperation moves, man, because they don't want to lose control, and that's the most dangerous person. A person who is losing power is very dangerous, because you don't know what they're going to do to still maintain that power. All right, but trying to release that video of the drones. You had they had like it'll show like a bee, a bumblebee, and then they'll show like the drone equivalent. It's like a flying drone, and then outside of it comes out all these different smaller drones, just like a bee has a hive, right? Then they had like one with a wolf, and then the wolf transformed into a robot, one of those robots. And I said to myself, man, they got a whole army of robots. We at that point, because this is things that, like, when we first came into truth, we say, oh yeah, that's going to happen eventually. And now we're here at the point where it's already going down. I remember hearing about that. There was always robots and different things, but to them to have at the advanced level that they have it at, they got robot soldiers now. That's another thing they showed in that clip. So if they have it, I mean, all of the nations have it. Well, I'll say the major ones: Russia, China, and America. Okay, you got different companies: Boston Dynamics, I think it's DARPA, a few other ones. They've been developing this, man. Weaponized drone technology, weaponized robots. So they getting ready to come down with it, man. But we trust in our God. We trust in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And we believe that through praising his holy name and serving him, all right, and him putting a spirit on us to do so, that we're gonna be delivered from these perils to come. All right. But it's not gonna come without challenges, all right. It's not gonna come without our faith being tested. All right. Go as gold tried in the fire. All right. And we've been going through that, because we go through trials and different things that the Lord set up for us so that we could be built up in the faith. And I always bring this up that before David went to fight Goliath, he had already dealt with the lion and the bear. He had already dealt with certain things. Yep. Yeah, the brother said he was a contractor at Boston Dynamics, so you already know. You already know. Probably got an inside look on what they've been up to, what they've been doing. All right. So, point being though, tying it back in through faith in Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, we're gonna be able to overcome all this shit, man. So don't fret, don't get weak, you know. Maybe a good time to do a fast, connect with Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, get locked in, man. Block out the noise, man. Block out the distractions. Because shit is about to go down, man. Majorly. And you brothers that are sincere, you can feel it. You can feel it in the air, man. You can feel it in the air, man. All right. And as these people are all, in this Christmas spirit bullshit, with that shit was dead this year. Everybody was saying that, it don't feel like the same Christmas of the past. And, a lot of people have been saying the Christmas spirit is dead. To me, it ain't dead enough. It's gonna be dead when Yahweh Shai comes back and completely destroys it, because I'm tired of hearing about any of this shit. But just to show you that, it just hasn't been the same. It just has not been the same, man. So, things are going down. Stay locked in. All right. Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. All right. Get locked in with these scriptures, with these lessons, with the brotherhood. Stay on point. Self-examine, because shit is we about to go to the next level with this shit, man. It's going down. All right. And those of you that have eyes to see, you can clearly see the times that we in. All right. As this is one of my favorites to quote too, is Matthew 16. All right, you can discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the signs of the times? The signs of the times clearly showing us that this man's kingdom is over with. Things are about to, once, again, like I mentioned, acceleration. When something is falling, like something falling from heaven, all right, like Satan falling from heaven, acceleration is different than just staying at the same speed. That means as time goes on, the speed increases, and it continues to increase until it hits the ground. Okay. And that's, like I said, that's one thing I remember from physics class and bullshit ass college classes was 9.8 meters per second squared, which means that every second it increases by 9.8 meters per second. So that means after 2 seconds, it's like 20 meters per second. After 3, it's like 30. After 4, and it just keeps going. All right. So it just keeps accelerating. I think my math might be a little off, but it's just going to keep accelerating, man. That's called gravity. Again, when something falls, it don't fall at the same speed. It gets faster and faster and faster. Because when you jump off, let's just say you jump off something that's like 5 or 10 feet high, you're not going to hurt yourself. The difference between that and falling from all the way up high off a damn cliff is you're accelerating. You're going faster and faster. And that's how this man's kingdom is falling. It's accelerating. So every year, more shit goes down. Every year, more things pop off. Every year, it gets worse and worse. Okay? Looking around at this place, it's all dead, man. Brothers are all sick, afflicted. We need deliverance, man. We rejoicing though, we rejoicing because we see the end, you know. Lift up your head for your redemption draweth nigh, being redeemed from this shithole of a kingdom, of a queendom. Okay. So, keep an eye out, man. I'm exhorting myself first and foremost. Continue to watch and pray. Continue to focus on these prophecies, man. These scoffers, they always going to be popping up, these different, individuals that's out of line. We address them and we moving on. There's too much going on in prophecy for us to just dwell on one individual or one thing. But it's going to be more, going to be more flavors of the week, and they're going to get dealt with through the spirit when the time comes. Lord's will, we stay in the spirit. So, World War III is going to be fought with thermonuclear missiles. All right. And that's why it says in Isaiah the 9th chapter that every battle of the warrior is fought with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Okay. All right. We're the only ones, the men that have the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that's actually breaking this down, that's telling you what is about to happen. All right. That's giving you the whole 100% truth and understanding so you could be protected. All right. And you can lock in with this thing and praise the names of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right. I can't wait, man. I'm very excited to see this year go down. And we know the new year is really in the spring, but for prophecy's sake about how they move with their agendas, the change of the year in terms of 2025 to 26, it does matter because that's how this man conducts his kingdom. Right. So continue to stay locked in, man. All right. Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shai, Shem, Chak, Dash, Brakathum. The ones, the apostle, elders, great millstone, shalom.